All right, so are you ready for a deep dive into like the whole history of smartphones?
Always up for a little tech nostalgia.
Yeah, so you sent over a mountain of info from the Wikipedia article on smartphones.
Oh yeah, it's a fascinating read.
It is. It is. And I figured, we could kind of like sift through it together and see what kind of gems we can unearth.
Sound like fun? Let's dive in.
All right, let's do it. So, okay, first impression, just scrolling through this thing, smartphones have come a long way.
Yeah, no kidding. It's
Mm.
crazy how quickly they went from like those clunky bricks to these like sleek extensions of ourselves.
Right. And it all happened so fast. Like we're talking less than 2 decades.
Well, that's the thing about tech, right? It moves at warp speed.
Seriously. I mean, I remember when having that Nokia 9000 communicator back in 96 made you like the ultimate tech whiz.
Oh yeah, the Nokia 9000, the OG smartphone.
Right. It was like carrying around a mini briefcase, though.
It was a beast. But hey, it can send faxes. What more could you ask for?
Seriously. Faxes on the go, the dream of the 90s.
You gotta admit, it was ahead of its time. Email, calendar, even like a primitive web browser.
True. Although I don't think I ever actually sent a fax with it.
Probably for the best. Those things were clunky.
Totally. But you're right, it was a sign of things to come. The idea that a phone could be more than just a phone.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that innovation isn't always about those giant leaps forward. Sometimes it's those small steps that lay the groundwork.
Speaking of being ahead of the curve, did you see how the article talks about Japan? Like they were way ahead of the game with mobile payments and downloadable content.
Oh yeah, Japan's mobile culture was like a glimpse into the future. They had emojis before emojis were even a thing.
I know, it's wild. But back to the phones themselves, I think the biggest game changer had to be the rise of the touchscreen.
Oh, absolutely. The death of the physical keyboard.
RIP tiny buttons. So what was the first, like, truly mainstream touchscreen phone?
Well, the LG Prada actually made waves.
Wait, really? The one co-designed with the fashion house?
Yep. It was surprisingly innovative, sleek design, intuitive interface.
Huh. I always just thought of it as a fashion statement back then.
It was both, but it showed the potential of touch screens. And then, of course, the iPhone dropped in 2007, and, well, the rest is history.
The iPhone was a game changer. That sleek design, the pinch to zoom, having a proper web browser in your pocket, it was like the future had arrived.
And the App Store. Don't forget about the App Store.
Oh, yeah, that was huge. Suddenly, you could do anything with your phone.
It went from being a device to being a platform.
Right.
And that's when things really exploded.
Speaking of exploding, did you see that by 2003, camera phones were already outselling standalone digital cameras?
Yeah, it was kind of inevitable. People were already carrying their phones everywhere. Why carry a separate camera?
True. Plus, those early camera phones were pretty terrible. The pictures were like...
Oh, they were rough. Grainy, blurry, low resolution.
But still, it was the start of something huge. People started documenting their lives through their phones.
Exactly. And the technology just kept getting better. More megapixels, better lenses, image stabilization.
And now we're carrying around phones with like 4K video recording and night modes that can rival professional cameras.
It's mind-blowing how far things have come.
It really is. Okay, but can we talk about those early smartphone screens for a sec? Because like going from those tiny low-res displays to what we have now, it's night and day.
Oh yeah, the screen technology has come a long way. Remember those first-gen iPhones? The screens were so small.
And dim! And the colors were all washed out.
Thankfully, things have improved. We've got OLED now with those vibrant colors and deep blacks.
It's true, the viewing experience is incredible now. But all those fancy features and apps, they must take some serious processing power.
Oh yeah, smartphone CPUs have become insanely powerful. We're talking multiple cores, dedicated graphics processors. It's like having a supercomputer in your pocket.
It's kind of wild when you think about it.
Yeah.
All that power packed into a device that fits in your hand.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
Okay, but all that power must have drained those early batteries like nobody's business.
Right. Totally. Battery life was a major pain point back then.
Seriously, it's like you'd be lucky to get a few hours of use out of them.
And that's even with those tiny screens and basic features.
I know, right? You'd think they'd last longer.
Well, battery tech has evolved a lot since then. We've got lithium-ion batteries now, which are way more efficient.
True. And those power management features have gotten seriously smart.
Oh yeah. Your phone can practically predict the future now when it comes to battery usage.
It's true, although I still get that low battery anxiety every now and then.
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there. That frantic search for a charger.
The struggle is real. But speaking of charge, remember when you had to like tether yourself to a wall for hours to get a full charge?
Oh yeah, those were dark times. But now we've got fast charging, wireless charging. It's pretty amazing.
It's true. Okay, but let's talk about storage for a sec. Because, like, the amount of stuff we store on our phones these days is insane.
I know, right? Photos, videos, music, apps. It's like our entire digital lives are in these things.
And kind of scary when you think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the storage space either. It's the speed. Remember when you had to wait like 5 minutes for an app to open?
Oh, God, don't remind me. Those were the days. But yeah, thankfully, storage technology has kept up with everything else.
Oh, yeah. We've gone from like eMMC to UFS,
Yeah.
which is way faster.
Yeah.
Everything just feels so much snappier now.
It's true. Although I do wonder why some phones still offer those expandable storage slots with the micro SD cards.
I think it's about giving people options.
Yeah.
You know, some people just need a ton of storage space, like if they're shooting a lot of 4K video or something.
That makes sense. So they're not stuck with just the built-in storage.
Exactly. It's all about flexibility.
Speaking of flexibility, have you seen those foldable smartphones that are coming out? Phones that unfold into tablets? It's like something out of Star Trek.
I know, right? It's insane. Talk about pushing the boundaries of technology.
It makes you wonder what they'll come up with next.
I know, right? The future of smartphones is looking pretty wild.
It really is. But, okay, I do want to talk about some of the downsides of all this technology. Because it's not all sunshine and roses, right?
Right. We've talked about all the amazing things smartphones can do, but there's definitely a flip side.
Yeah, like smartphone addiction, for example. That's a real thing.
Oh, totally. People are glued to their screens these days, constantly checking notifications, scrolling through social media.
It's like we're terrified of missing out on something.
Exactly. And it can be really hard to disconnect.
It's true. And then there's the whole privacy issue. Our phones are basically tracking devices.
Yeah, that's something to be mindful of. All the data that's being collected about us, our location, our browsing history. It's kind of creepy when you think about it.
It is. And don't even get me started on distracted driving. It's like a national epidemic.
I know, it's scary how many people are glued to their phones while they're behind the wheel.
It's like they forget that driving is a privilege, not a right. And that their text messages can wait.
Seriously. Put the phone down, people. Your life and the lives of others are more important than a text message.
It's kind of wild when you think about like all the different operating systems that have come and gone too. You know, like remember Symbian, Palm OS?
Oh yeah, it's a graveyard of forgotten platforms.
Seriously, it's like a tech museum exhibit waiting to happen.
Well, the smartphone world was a Wild West back then. Everyone was trying to create the next big thing.
It was like a battle royale of tech giants.
And ultimately, it came down to Android and iOS.
Right, like a duel to the death of the operating systems. So why do you think those two came out on top?
Well, Android had the whole open source thing going for it, which meant a lot of different manufacturers could use it. And then Apple had that like super polished, user-friendly thing going on.
Right, but then that locked everyone into like a whole Apple ecosystem.
Exactly. But both of them really pushed the whole App Store thing.
Yeah.
Which was huge for consumers.
No doubt. It's crazy, though, to think we basically have like a duopoly now in the smartphone world.
It's true.
Yeah.
But hey, competition is what drives innovation, right?
That's true, I guess. But man, when you really think about it, it's amazing how much smartphones have changed the world.
I know, it's like they've become such an integral part of our lives.
Totally. It's not just the technology itself, it's how we use it.
Yeah.
How it's changed the way we communicate, how we consume information, how we like navigate our daily lives.
They're like tools of convenience and connection.
Exactly. They can be used for good or for evil.
The duality of technology.
Right. Okay, well, on that note, I think we've officially reached the end of our deep dive into the world of smartphones.
Time flies when you're talking tech.
It really does. But hey, this has been fun. Thanks for geeking out with me on this one.
Anytime. Always happy to talk shop.
All right, listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. And hey, maybe this will inspire you to put down your phone for a bit and appreciate the world around you.
Or maybe just download a new app.
Hey, there's always that. All right, until next time, everyone, stay curious.